We have our NASCAR and F1 guys here to talk football.
Yeah, they're also football guys.
Okay, that's fine too. Geoff, what happened over the weekend with your NASCAR picks?
Because earlier when you were on the show, you were like, are we going to talk about how I beat Pearce? And then you came on and you were like, oh, actually.
Yeah, I heard Pearce say
seems
something.
to have made a mistake.
I thought Pearce took Alex Bowman this week. I mean, I took, Kyle Busch, who was fine. I think he was 7th. Pearce reminded me, though, he took Ryan Blaney. He was top 5. Again, Pearce got me in NASCAR. I will take a small victory lap because I did take Charles Leclerc over Max Verstappen. But again, Pearce remains the NASCAR god. He's even got a YouTube show I forgot about. He's been tweeting it out. You should probably watch it. It's a lot of smart stuff being said, probably. I didn't watch it.
Well, congrats there to your NASCAR pick, Pearce. But also, you referenced like Hideki and the book you were reading about like his back, and then it turns out like Hideki looked pretty good over the weekend. Like I think you nailed that.
Yeah, back pain's psychological, but let's get to the NFL picks.
Okay, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
Thank you, producer Pearce.
We're going to dive into the draft coming up in the next few weeks, but are you guys looking for any value right now before teams like really start to focus on certain players? So just like in general, what's your strategy for betting the draft at this point? And is there a bet that you like?
Yeah.
Derek Stingley just ran a 4:37 40-yard dash at LSU's Pro Day last week.
Wow.
He's plus 275 to be the first cornerback taken. So like any of these catching your eye, Pearce?
Yeah, there's a couple picks I like. Under 2.5 quarterbacks taken in the first round at plus 155. We know quarterbacks usually go in the first round, but this is kind of an unusual year in that the draft class for quarterbacks is pretty weak. So if you take a first-round quarterback, you're overpaying. And the teams that need to overpay, they have other needs. And it would be wiser for them to just take someone else with their first-round pick. And then another one, staying with the quarterback trend, is Malik Willis at plus 1,500 to be the number 3 pick overall. The Texans are not going to take him number 3. But again, the Texans have tons of needs. It would be smart for the Texans to trade down to get multiple picks. And maybe a team that's worried that the Panthers are going to take a quarterback might want to try to jump ahead. And that number 3 pick is an opportunity. It's a long shot at 1,500, but it's something worth considering.
All right, Geoff, what about you? Anything you're like honing in on here?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't mind that Malik Willis idea. I mean, if a team does take a quarterback early, it'll probably be someone trading up to get Willis, just because, again, he's sort of like the right now the anointed most upside quarterback in the draft, so that makes sense. I'm going to stick with the cornerback theme, and I like that you guys brought it up. Obviously, Derek Stingley Jr. plus 275 to be the first cornerback. Ahmad Sauce Gardner wasn't even really in like the top 4 cornerbacks a couple months ago, but now he is the favorite. That's a big move, though. So you do wonder if maybe his odds have just gotten overinflated. I think Stingley Jr. probably is certainly up there in terms of talent. I wouldn't hate that. I actually like probably my favorite bet on the board for the draft right now. Over 4.5 cornerbacks taken in the first round. It's plus 120. This is a deep cornerback class just in terms of top end talent. There's a lot of guys like being projected to go in the first round. And when you get down in these later rounds, like teams like the Bills, the Patriots, they're all loaded up at the skill positions. What do they need? They need extra depth. They don't want to end up like the Baltimore Ravens last year, who were putting wide receivers in at cornerback. I think over 4.5 cornerbacks in the first round is very reasonable, and you're getting plus money to do it. It's not that huge odds, but I do like it, and that's probably my favorite bet on the board for the draft right now.
I mean, after all the player movement around the AFC West, like trade signings, all that stuff, like there's a lot of talk about this division. And on the DK Sportsbook, this is pretty cool, guys. You can pick teams' exact finish in the division or the order of teams. So a Chargers division win with the Chiefs coming in second is plus 650. So separately, the Broncos to finish third is plus 275. Geoff, how you feel about that? Any other AFC West bets you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, the AFC West is going to be super exciting this year. I mean, we could sit here and literally make a case for each one. I'm going to go with the Broncos, though. I would rather take the Broncos to win this division than the Chargers. I just think that, when it comes down to it, if you're betting against the Chiefs, the second best quarterback in this division is Russell Wilson. And I'm sure like the Chargers fans are just throwing things at their internet screen right now, but I really is the truth for me. And I think with Hackett in there, an offensive coordinator, you're going to see Russell Wilson absolutely unleashed for the first time in his career. So I would rather side with the Broncos in this division than the Chargers right now. I do think it's very close. And I don't even mind the plus 800 for the Broncos to win, Chargers second, and you just fade the Chiefs this year. at some point, at some point, this Chiefs dynasty is going to come to an end. They don't have the biggest depth on defense. They've lost their biggest playmaker in the wide receiver core in Tyreek Hill. I think that if you're going to do it, this is the year with Russell Wilson coming in, perhaps just keep catching the Chiefs off guard for a season. So I like the Broncos first. If you're going to go to the straight forecast, Broncos first, Chargers second, plus 800. That's where I would go.
Pearce, what do you want to do here?
Yeah, let's go big. Let's go with Raiders 1, Chargers 2. Both teams were basically playoff teams last year. And just being young teams, we expect them to continue to develop. And they've also made some pretty strong moves throughout free agency. And really, the only thing in their way, it's the Chiefs. That's a big obstacle, but they could be one injury away from sliding back down. Now, who knows how not having Tyreek Hill is going to affect the Chiefs' offense. We did see them struggle last year at the beginning of the season. Remember, we were ready to say this team's over. It's done for. Their defense can't get it together. The Chiefs aren't going to be on top forever. They showed some signs of weaknesses last season, and you get really good odds on taking Raiders 1, Chargers 2.
All right, regular season statistical leaders also on the board. Cooper Kupp is plus 700 to repeat as receiving yard leader. Any bets here for passing, rushing, or receiving leaders that you like, Pearce? Guess who is first for most passing yards? You got Tom Brady. He's at plus 700, tied with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think Brady will probably be fine. But if we're looking at receiving, I'm going to take a long shot in DK Metcalf. There's the possibility that Tyler Lockett could get traded. That would leave Metcalf as the lone weapon on the Seattle offense. We don't know what they have at quarterback, but they're likely going to be trailing in most games. That means a lot of value for DK Metcalf at plus 3,000 last time I checked those odds. And then also Amari Cooper going down the board. I think this is going to be an upgraded position for him. He's got Deshaun Watson at quarterback. He's got a solid offensive line. I think the AFC North is weakly going to get into shootouts. And then you've got Nick Chubb is going to require safeties to play closer to the line of scrimmage. He's not going to deal with bracket coverage. Amari Cooper could have a huge bounce back year.
All right, Geoff, any bets for passing, rushing, receiving leaders that you like here?
I mean, if I'm looking at the receiving and just the passing totals, I really think the Raiders' top players are a little bit, there's a little bit of value here. I mean, getting Davante Adams to lead in receiving yards at plus 1,200, I don't mind that at all. I mean, the Raiders are just going to be in shootouts most weeks because they're in the AFC West. They're going to be the underdogs, and that's a good situation for Derek Carr and Davante Adams because they're going to be throwing late in most games. The Raiders are a decent team. Derek Carr is a decent quarterback. I don't even really hate taking Derek Carr for most passing yards either. Again, we've got Josh McDaniel coming in, an offensive-minded head coach, probably going to be scheming up some good, short pass game for Derek Carr as well to take advantage of. He's plus 1,000 for most passing yards. I don't hate hitting up both of those guys and just thinking for this dream offensive season for the two. The Raiders, their win total, whatever, that's another story. Are they actually going to be able to stand up against these other AFC teams? But I think for the player totals, both Davante Adams, Derek Carr, looking like okay bets in the most receiving and most passing yards.